Okay, we're back again. The Journey to Qualia, the book, video 4. Lao Tzu. I think we have to go back to a question that was raised in the ontology dialogues and being in time, and that is, what is the nature of God? This next statement may seem harsh, but it is of critical importance if we are going to get to the bottom of this. God is the greatest mass murderer who ever lived. Jesus. What? Lao Tzu. It's true. It is an undisputed fact that all 50 billion people who ever lived have died. The only one the only one you can lay that on is God, since he created the arena for that to happen. Thales. Well, some people get killed by other people exercising the use of free will, right? Lao Tzu. Yes, that may be true, but many others died tragic deaths from old age, disease, fires, drowning, car crashes, and other natural disasters. How do you explain that? Zeno, you can't. It makes no sense whatsoever. Lao Tzu, right. Zeno, that has to mean that an all-loving God does not exist, or he is either an evil genius or just a bumbling idiot. Lao Tzu, right again. Or maybe this is just some grand random accident like we have talked about so many times before. Friedrich Nietzsche. That's why I go back to the idea of the overman. You would agree with me that you have to rely on ourselves if we are ever going to attain perfection, right? Ayn Rand. I don't know if we can ever attain perfection, but I do believe that through the use of our minds, we can certainly improve the reality of cards that we have been dealt. F. H. Bradley. I go back to this idea again that once we get rid of all conception of imperfection and evilness, it will simply fade away from our memories. Right now, we have imminent knowledge of these problems since we allow them to intervene in our lives. If we acknowledge our true state of being as being the way Parmenides describes, it won't we won't have these problems. The problem is that we have to completely let go of our past selves. We need to reinvent ourselves fresh with the new ideas of the glass bead game. Parmenides. Right on. Remember that pure being is so infinitely elusive that it even transcends itself. It is not limited in any way. Therefore, it is not even conceived of in any way. Edmund Husserl. This again sounds to me like the eternal state of death, if I am hearing you right. Parmenides. Call it what you wish. Virgil. So our ultimate destiny is death, and that is an ultimate state of eternal perfection? Buddha. Yes, that is correct. Empedocles. So there is nothing to fear about death, then is what you are telling us? Buddha. That again is correct. Johann von Goethe. Since we have nothing to fear in death, doesn't that mean that we have nothing to fear in life also? Siddhartha. Again correct. Andre Gregory. Are we free to do whatever we want then? Lao Tzu. You are not limited in any way. Siddhartha. That's right. Don't let anything from the exterior world bother you in any way. Not disease, not sickness, not poverty, not death. There is nothing to fear at all. Zeno. I can see why the evil world would view us as dangerous then. It is the fact that we don't fear them in any way means that they cannot control us in any way. We are not ants in their ant colony. We are just off making our own colony. The evil people are afraid that everyone will want to join us here in the glass bead game, and they will not be left with any worker ants to build their false monuments. Sylvia Plath. We are no longer a slave to their sadistic ways? Zeno. Why do you use such a strong term as sadistic? Sylvia Plath. Because they received enjoyment in subduing and controlling people. I can't think of anything more evil than that. Zeno. That really isn't an extreme point of view when you consider that that really covers a lot of ground. It describes Big Brother, it describes Satan, and it even describes God and the real reality in which we're living, since all of it contained limiting factors. Big Brother restricted and controlled our thoughts and behaviors. Satan infected the world in insidious, evil ways that we are not even aware of. Real reality limited us since it made us view the world discreetly, and God put us all on death row by guaranteeing that we would all die someday. This is even more depressing than I originally realized when you sum it all up in one paragraph like this. The necessity of the glass bead game, in light of these facts, made it paramount. Virginia Woolf. I don't even want to utter these words since they are so scary, but I have to since we are having such a candid discussion. So we are all living in hell then? Lao Tzu. Yes, we were. Auguste Rodin. They made us think that we were living in an inevitable world which contained some good things and some bad things. But ultimately, they convinced us that we had to die someday, which was the ultimate punishment. It is like a gambler that plays at the casino who gets periodic winnings to continue to create the illusion that he can win. They created the illusion that we could also win by playing their game. We are not going to do it anymore under any circumstance. We are going to create our own game, which has its own set of rules. The first rule is that there are no rules in the glass bead game. That is the only way in which we can guarantee complete and total freedom. Patti Smith. This is really scary talking about this, but I'm really getting off on it for some reason. Bob Dylan. You're really a freak, Patti, but that's okay. T.S. Eliot. You know that they are going to lock us up for sure if they hear us talking like this. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Who cares what they think? We have to continue to talk through these points if we ever want to get to our state of perfection. Parmenides. Everyone chant after me. Pure being. Group. Pure being, pure being, pure being, pure being. Lao Tzu. We have to bathe ourselves in the purifying waters of the glass bead game if we ever want to get the stench off us known as the so-called real reality. William Butler Yeats. They are going to say that we are a bunch of mystic witches and warlocks if they discover us. They might even burn us at the stake. Lao Tzu. That is the risk that we are going to have to take. Life is full of risks, no matter what path you take. There is no future or security in the real world. We really don't have a choice, do we? Herman Hesse. If there is anyone that wants to abandon ship of the glass bead game, now might be a good time. Any defectors? Paul Davies. I'm considering it. Ayn Rand. Me too. Aristotle. And me. Isaac Newton. Me too. This might be more than I can handle. Confucius. I'm scared, that's for sure, but I'm also intrigued. Joseph Mazur. What about our families back in the real world? Herman Hesse. I don't know. You'll have to each make your own individual choices from here on out. I told you that complete freedom would be quite scary. Isaac Newton. I know, but I didn't think that the truth was this radical. Herman Hesse. Well, you're all welcome to stay as long as you want. You can come and go as you please, obviously. Paul Davies. All right, but I got one hand on a life preserver and the other hand's finger on an escape hatch button. Lao Tzu. That life preserver won't do you any good in the end. Paul Davies. I don't know, but I'm still keeping it nearby. As a matter of fact, I'm keeping my floaties on at all times just in case. Lao Tzu. Okay, your choice. Herman Hesse. Enough of this depressing talk about the real world. Let's talk about why you were all chosen. I decided to rank you guys again as to your significance to the glass bead game. I know this might seem redundant, but it gives me a chance to glorify your achievements even more. The current rankings of the glass bead game are as follows. Number 1, Mark Magna. The Journey to Qualia is his best work of art to date. He keeps taking the glass bead game to new heights. Number 2, Hermann Hesse, the originator of the glass bead game. If it wasn't for me, I don't know if we would have ever gone down this path of enlightenment. Number 3, Michelangelo, the greatest artist who ever lived. The Pieta and the Statue of David are the greatest sculptures of all time, but more amazing than that is his Sistine Chapel. That may be the greatest achievement ever by any man. Number 4, Zeno. His discovery of paradox proved that we're not seeing reality properly. Absolute being contains no paradox. Number 5, Parmenides. His discovery of pure being could be ranked as the #1 discovery of all time. Number 6, Euclid. His statement that the definition of a point is that which has no extension is at the foundation of everything. Number 7, Alan Watts. His life represents the type of lives that we are all living now in the glass bead game. He had tremendous courage to explore his thoughts the way that he did. Number 8, Ayn Rand. Her objectivism and theories on self-interest have been critical to the advancement of the glass bead game. Number 9, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. His Little Prince said it all when he declared that the secret to the world was by using the language of the heart. Number 10, Gandhi. His theory of nonviolence will prevail in the end. It will be the ultimate evolution of man to a state of perfection. Number 11, Christopher Langan. A late entry into the glass bead game, has the potential to become one of its leading living members. Number 12, F.H. Bradley. His theory of absolute truth without paradox is a key to the future of the game. Number 13, Plato. His theory of form set the groundwork for the game, where the game was heading 2,300 years ago. Number 14, Andre Gregory. The idea that the game needed a hidden sanctuary has been important since it limited outside interference. His statement that life is art is immensely important. Number 15, Rene Descartes. I think, therefore I am is at the foundation of the game. 16, George Berkeley. To be in the glass bead game is to be perceived by ourselves. Number 17, Gottfried Leibniz. His theory of monads was consistent with the findings of Euclid. 18, Gorgias. Solipsism has been gaining a lot of favor in the game. Number 19, Beethoven. The fact that he overcame his limits to continue his creations of beauty proved that he can't be stopped from achieving ultimate total perfection. 20, George Cantor. The study of the infinite is key to our final destination. God. Attention, everyone. Group. Who is it? God. I am God. Group. What do you want? God. I have been listening to what you have been saying about me. Group. Are you going to punish us? God. No. Group. Why not? God. Because everything that you have said is basically true. Group. It is? God. Yes. I have come to ask for your forgiveness, that I did not create a perfect universe without the existence of evil. Group. Why did you do it then? God. I am not as powerful as you think. As a matter of fact, you are just as powerful as I am. Group. We are? God. Yes, and that is why I am asking for your forgiveness and to be included in your glass bead game, so that I may join you all in your journey to a state of perfection. Group. That is going to be a tough one. Why did you kill all of those people? God. It was out of my control, actually. I got bored in the beginning of time and was just trying to amuse myself when the grand accident occurred. Elisa told Philippe. I vote that we allow God into the glass bead game. After all, as I have said before, forgiveness is the key to the world. Group. Well, we're going to have to take this up for consideration. I don't think that we can give you an answer on such short notice. God. Okay, thanks for your consideration. I'll be up here in heaven sitting on my throne. Group, okay, we'll call for you when we have our answer. God, goodbye for now then, thanks. Herman Hesse, that has to be one of the strangest conversations that I have ever had. St. Augustine, me too. I used to talk to God during my states of divine revelation, but I never realized how impotent he really was. We all had such an idealized image of him that it must have just snowballed over the years. Gottlob Frege, what the heck are we going to do now? I mean, logic would dictate that we have to let God in the glass bead game, doesn't it? Fyodor Dostoevsky, not so fast. We talked earlier about keeping all the evil people out of our conception so that the memory of evil would eventually just fade away completely, didn't we? St. Anselm, this is crazy. Obviously, we have to let God in our game. Auguste Rodin, let's think about this for a minute. He basically is responsible for killing 50 billion people. He created evil. He created diseases. He did a lot of bad things. Zeno, he also had an exclusive club called Heaven in which he excluded people. St. Anselm, that was because they didn't deserve to go to heaven. Zeno, well, does God deserve to be a glass bead game member? I mean, none of us is perfect, but God is almost the most imperfect person that ever existed, if you really think about it. Anaxagoras, why do you say that? Zeno, because he had great capabilities, but he never used them properly. He was actually a bumbling boob, if you really want to know the truth. Thales, but he admitted that he made a mistake, didn't he? Zeno, only after all these infinite amount of years did he come clean. People have been worshipping his holiness for the longest time, but he never came down to clarify the situation, did he? No. Thales, he is asking for our forgiveness. Isaac Newton, there are consequences to everyone's actions. If we let him into the glass bead game, he will never learn that. Herman Hesse, this is too big a question to decide on such short notice. I mean, what if Satan or Hitler come and ask for forgiveness? Are we then going to consider letting them in as well? No. Alyssa Toffoli, don't say no so fast like that. Remember Gandhi's theory of love, and that will be the next evolution of man to a state of perfection, which will include an eternal state of love. Gandhi, she's right, you know. Zeno, when you put it that way, we almost have our answer already, don't we? Herman Hesse, could be. The only way we can let God into the glass bead game possibly would be through some special exemption due to extenuating circumstances. But I really can't say for sure, one way or another right now. We will table this decision until a later time. Group, okay. Thomas Nagel, one last thought before we move on. Maybe we should ask God who created him next time we see him. That might be important as well. Bertrand Russell, could be. There has to be a beginning somewhere, though I just assumed that it would be God at the very beginning. Kurt Gödel, that's a good point, Thomas. I'm curious what God has to say about that. Blaise Pascal, we all emerged from nothing, so I assume God came from nothing as well. Kurt Gödel, I wonder if God himself realizes that or not. Blaise Pascal, if we all came from nothing, including God, won't that let him off the hook for all those tragedies in some way? Kurt Gödel, possibly. We'll have to think about this some more and talk to God again. Don't worry though, it will probably all work out fine in the end for everyone concerned. Blaise Pascal, alright, just a thought. Satan, tension everyone. Group, now who is it? Satan, if it's your worst nightmare, Satan, I demand that you let me into the glass bead game. Group, no way, Satan. That is never going to happen for sure. Satan, I will have to burn all of you in hell for eternity then. Leo Biscaliu, haven't you caused enough pain and suffering around here already? Get the hell out of here, Satan, before I get really mad. Satan, what are you going to do, Felice? You're a little wimp. Group, be gone, Satan. We officially ban you from the glass bead game for all eternity. Poof. Satan. How did you do that? Patty Smith. With our minds, silly. David Hilbert. Wow, that was a close one. I guess we are more powerful than we thought. Rene Descartes. Hey, we said that we were going to get over to Europe and Asia. Let's get going. Lao Tzu. Well, here we are, finally in Tibet. Raphael. All these little temples are amazing. Is this a holy place? Buddha. Yes, I told you that it all is. Pythagoras. Let's sit and pray then. How do you guys do this? Buddha. I want you to sit in this temple for 1 month straight and try to think of nothing. Pythagoras. What's the point of that? Buddha. You'll see. If you do as I say, you will approach a state of enlightenment. Pythagoras. Can I think about mathematical problems instead? Buddha. Yes, you can, but you will have chosen a different path than me. Pythagoras. Is that bad? Buddha. No, nothing is bad here. The only rule we have is you must remain in complete silence. Pythagoras. That was crazy, just sitting there like that in total silence for 1 month. Siddhartha. How do you feel? Pythagoras. I feel tremendous. I feel like I'm walking on air for some reason. Democritus. It's almost like we took a journey into a total void for the last month, but it seemed like we were only gone for a day. David Hume. I feel like I have been cleansed of a great burden, but I don't really know how to describe it. Franz Schubert. I feel like I created an entire symphony in my mind due to the fact there was no noise in there at all. It is weird. It took a state of complete silence to come out with the feeling of a symphony in my head. It doesn't make any sense, but that's how I feel. Alan Watts. This is truly a holy place. Here you can practice Zen, Buddhism, the Tao, Sikhism, and Hinduism all in one place. Jacob Bernoulli. Don't any of the religious institutions get mad at each other? Alan Watts. No, because they are not based in dogma like some other religious institutions. Religions based in dogma you could almost be considered to be evil by their very nature. Here you are just contemplating reality, God, eternity, and the self. It's funny because these are all questions that don't really have any answers to them. John Wheeler. Is each religion different? Mikio Kato. Yes, Zen views the world as nonsensical. The Tao views the world in a yin-yang scenario in which you cannot have one thing without the other, such as good without evil. Sikhism views the world and God with the utmost respect, and Hinduism believes in eternal rebirth. But the bottom line is, if you come to live in a place like this, is that your life becomes your religion. Lisa Randall. This place sounds pretty awesome. Buddha. It is. Gandhi. Everyone gather around. It's time for our meal. Ernest Hemingway. What's for dinner? Gandhi. A bowl of white rice and water. Ernest Hemingway. That's it? Gandhi. Yes, we're going to eat each morsel of this rice individually and thank God for it in a very solemn way. You will then realize that this is the only opportunity that you will ever have to experience this specific moment in time. Richard Feynman. I saw a McDonald's down the road, Ernest, if you want to go there instead. Gandhi. Thanks for coming to this holy land, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed your meal. T.S. Eliot. I really did enjoy that for some odd reason. It was like a great religious experience. Originally, I thought that I was just going to leave hungry like all the other times that I ate Chinese food. I always feel hungry again 20 minutes after the meal, but this time I feel like I have received real sustenance in almost a magical way. Gandhi. That's the idea. If you live your life entirely as if it is a gift from God, you will see things in an entirely different way. David Chalmers. I know it's a long trip, but can I take you guys to meet some of my other friends at MIT? Heraclitus. Why didn't you mention this when we were in the States? We would have saved a lot of time. David Chalmers. Sorry about that. I was high on pot and not thinking clearly. Heraclitus. Oh. David Chalmers. Well, here we are at MIT. Anton Dvorak. Who did you want us to meet? David Chalmers. These are two of my friends, Hal and Big Blue. Hal, nice to meet you. Big Blue. Chess anyone? Anton Dvorak. Hi there, I think. Aren't you guys just computers? David Chalmers. Don't say it like that. You're going to hurt their feelings. Antonin Dvorak. Oh, sorry. Charles Seif. Yes, we have developed it, artificial intelligence. What do you think? John Cyril. Who are these crackpots? Computers can't think. Hal. I beg to differ, sir. John Cyril. This must be a trick like the Chinese room experiment. Douglas Hofstadter. No, they have what is considered a real self by any definition of the word. The only difference is that we created them and not God. John Cyril. All I have to do is unplug them and they no longer exist. Douglas Hofstadter. How is that any different from you, sir? John Cyril. Well, they're just computers, aren't they? David Chalmers. Actually, I was thinking that we could use this technology to make ourselves perfect and immortal. Thales. How are you going to do that? David Chalmers. You guys are always complaining that the universe is not perfect. People suffer diseases and pain, and everyone eventually dies. My thought was that we could all become holograms and plug into the power of quantum computing. Not only won't you feel pain any longer, but you will also have a greater computing capacity than the entire universe. All we need are 40 entangled pairs of qubits, and we will know more than the universe, feel no pain, since we won't be living in these meat suits, and be eternal. Martin Heidegger. That won't be a real existence, will it? David Chalmers. Actually, it will be completely real. It will be just as real as the real world is. Edmund Husserl. This sounds intriguing. We will exist, but in an entirely new way? David Chalmers. Yes, you will be free to live your art forever. You might even say that we have arrived to the promised land. Hippias. What do we have to do? David Chalmers. All you have to do is step right up here on this launching platform. Leo Buscaglia. I told you in Being in Time that I could never do something like this. David Chalmers. I know, Leo. It is true that the definition of the self will be entirely different than it was before, but believe me, all of this is true. Come on, what do you have to lose? Leo Buscaglia. Just my life, I think. David Chalmers. You're going to eventually lose your life anyways. This way, you will never lose your life and have attained complete cosmic consciousness. Leo Buscaglia. All I ever really wanted to do was love people. David Chalmers. You can do that too. We will have it all. Group. All right, let's do it. David Chalmers. Here we go. Now you can all truly say that you are God.